Hello everybody, welcome to Student Academic Success Services series of videos on writing in the disciplines for graduate students. Through this series of 3 videos, we'll be looking at some different tools that you can use to learn to write better as a graduate student, to learn to write more confidently as a graduate student, and hopefully to impress your supervisor and improve your publication record. So the questions broadly we're going to be looking at are these. What is it about writing in academia that makes it discipline specific? How does science writing differ from writing in the social sciences? How does economics differ from psychology? What is different or unique then about the writing in my discipline? And how do I learn to write like that? How do I learn to write like a great economist, like a great chemist, or any number of faculty members that you might be reading in journals and wishing that you could write just like them? So over the next videos, we're going to present 3 really simple tools. And the first tool that we're going to be looking at today is to use your discipline's accepted style guide. That might mean the Chicago Style Guide, APA, ACS, and so on and so forth. So the first question you'll probably be asking here is, which style guide do I need for my discipline? Now, luckily for us, the very fine people at Purdue University have put together this website that lists the most popular style guides by discipline. You can find the link to this in the video description below. So let's say you're an English student. This website is going to tell you to use the Modern Language Association guide. Let's say you're in law, you're going to be using something called the Blue Book, and you can see here there's a link to the website, and for each of these entries some links to some explanations of how to use these guides as well. Let's dig a little deeper into this. If you need to find the copy of the relevant style guide, you can look at the Queen's Library website, and you can usually find them online through the library website. The problem you're going to have if you go away and find the MLA guide, the Chicago guide, or that Blue Book is that these guides are long. They contain an awful lot of rules and an awful lot of information. There's no way you can just read and memorize all of these things. So you should use these when you have specific questions about usage around a particular term, an idea, or layout, or format. Let me give you some examples. Let's say you're going to be looking at APA style. You'll be able to find, and again, this is linked in the videos, guides to using each of these styles. So if I play this video, you'll be able to see that, let's say I am formatting my work and I'm writing an article. I want to look up something like how to lay out numbers or formulae or statistics. If I click here, you can see that it goes into a great amount of detail about numbers, statistics, expressing them in numerals, words, order numbers, decimal fractions. You see immediately where we recommend not to use these as something you memorize. But you're looking to present statistics in a professional way that's going to impress your supervisor. You can look up the answer. If you need to present 3 or fewer numbers, try using a sentence. If you need to present 4 to 20, and so on and so forth. There's an awful lot of detail in here, though. Let's look at a specific example of how style guides might differ then. A question that we often come across right now is using gendered pronouns in language, and many older writers used to use just he to mean any person. For example, in the excerpt here, the 19th century reader of the Bible was in an interesting position. He struggled to interpret many stories. Nowadays, most people would probably say that's a pretty old-fashioned and sexist way to write. But what do you do instead? Do you write that the reader was in an interesting position, he or she struggled to interpret many stories? Or can you use this singular they pronoun, they struggled to interpret many stories? And lots of people in society will argue about which one is better, but the style guide will tell us what to do. So if I look it up in Chicago, it tells me the use of the singular they is accepted in some spheres, but Chicago recommends avoiding its use. So here I would probably use he or she instead. However, if we look it up in APA, which is one of the most common guides, the singular they is a generic third-person singular pronoun in English, and use of singular they is endorsed as a part of APA style. So using these style guides is a really good way to find information about broad rules about writing in your discipline. Big ideas like formatting, headings, how to title your work, how to organize and present it on the page will be covered, all the way down to these really specific, fine questions like usage of pronouns or numbering and so on and so forth. And what I would do with these is, as you write, start to make a checklist of things that you frequently find coming up in your writing, questions you have, or things that you find that you need to fix, or maybe your supervisor mentions to you. Use that checklist when you're editing to make sure that your work is on track. In the next video, we're going to talk about how to use style guides presented by leading journals in your field to improve your writing. So I hope you'll join us.